Hello YouTube, hello wrestling fans. This is Old School Ted 1 with a recap of NXT this week. I don't know if that was a Freudian slip or not. I apologize for not being around last week. I just middle of the end of the semester here, and grad school can be tough. Anyway, moving on. So you had a fair amount of sightings of NXT rookies, especially on Raw previously. Uh, in Raw, you had a beat the clock challenge, and I was kind of excited about this because you had Miz supposedly facing Batista, and I thought, well, here's a chance for Miz to sort of shine because I really think Miz does have that main event quality right now, and I'm excited about his future, especially since he's working with Chris Jericho now, who can bring anyone over, I'd argue. But Miz actually came out with a doctor's note. It was actually written doctor's note on an envelope and said he was too hurt from the Big Show's punch to compete. So he brought out Daniel Bryan, which caused me to pop right away because I realized the NXT rookies would be getting a chance, and more importantly, Daniel Bryan. Well, Miz started berating Daniel Bryan, saying lasts longer than 30 seconds because in a few matches on NXT, Daniel Bryan's wrestled 30 seconds and lost, or along those lines. Most of his matches, a friend of mine did the math, average out to just under 2 minutes, which is shorter than any other rookie. What's that tell you? Anyway, so they had a match, Batista versus Daniel Bryan. This match was 5 minutes and 6 seconds, I think, according to the clock thing. And before the match started, Bryan grabbed the microphone from Miz saying he would make Batista tap. I knew this wouldn't happen, but I still liked the sentiment. I still thought it was good that he was aggressive. He immediately broke out of Batista going for the Batista bomb. Good back and forth. He landed kicks. He landed different submission holds. The thing that kind of caught my attention was the crowd. The crowd didn't really start to pop until Daniels trapped Batista's arms, rolled it over, and it looked like he was just about ready to rip it off, at which point fans popped big time. They got it. They got that he was Batista was in a lot of pain. Looking at it, he could have been in a lot of pain too. It's a legit submission hold, and it looked incredibly painful. Anyway, so Batista wins with the Batista bomb. Then he hits Bryan with two more, which I knew would play out on last night's NXT. Also on Raw, you had Wade Barrett against John Cena, and Barrett looked okay, but he wasn't quite as standoutish as he's been before. Now, we're going against John Cena, and yes, he's supposed to be more heelish, but it wasn't the wrestling skills I've seen Barrett bring to the fore before. But he lost 4 minutes 30 something. I don't know. Cena won the clock challenge, which I thought was interesting. But so that led into last night's NXT show, which opens with all the rookies out with Matt Striker doing his Wink Martindale sort of impression, and they had to do an obstacle course. Of course, they have Daniel Bryan go first, who had taped ribs and was selling the ribs. He did it in 2:30 something. I'm not going to talk too much about the obstacle course because it was silly. I mean, it was monkey bars, climb a ladder, run around, drink something, leap over, juggle, do a dizzy bat thing and push a cart. Yeah, not wrestling. So right after that, Bryan was told he had a match with Michael Tarver. Miz came out and said if he loses, Miz would do everything in his power, essentially, he was saying, to get Daniel Bryan eliminated. So you had Tarver come out with Carlito. Let it be said, let me bring this to the fore, Tarver sold in an awesome manner. When Bryan started unloading with his kicks with Tarver sitting on the ground, Tarver sold it amazingly well. Like they were really hurting, but he didn't flee either. So if they hurt, he'd rock back and forth, change his position, and then sort of give Daniel another shot. Good overall match. And came with the Bryan catching him in the cross armbar. Fujiwara, no, not Fujiwara. Otagama say armbar. It's a straight armbar is the English term for it. And Tarver picking him up and sort of dropping him and setting up for his finisher, what I assume is his finisher, which is sort of this. It's a power slam, except it goes backwards rather than forwards. So sort of I'd say a backwards power slam. I'm sure I'll have some nifty name for it. But then you had more challenges and more of the obstacle course stuff. Oh, at the end of the Daniel Bryan match, I'm sorry. Carlito came in and gave Daniel Bryan a backstabber. And this leads to some interesting thoughts of mine, which I'll get to after I cover the next match. On a whole, I'd give this match match was just under 4 minutes. I'd give the match 6 1/4 stars. It's kind of been my average so far for these for the matches, the good matches anyway. So then the next match, the actual wrestling portion we had was R-Truth versus David Otunga. David Otunga, I've been saying that he hasn't really shown anything wrestling-wise. He had some good moves. He put R-Truth in the abdominal stretch, and we saw the end of it when they came back from the break. But he put him back in it again. But that was it. It was a lot of punching and kneeing, and not. I didn't see the power moves I expected from David Otunga, and he still comes across to me being really choppy. He can sell, but I'm really not as impressed as I was at the beginning with him. I don't necessarily think he's got the it factor can carry him over his lack in the ring. He's not 7 foot something like Kali and can get away with limited limited wrestling ability. That limited anyway. But we'll see. So you had the wrestlers line up at the end and sort of give their little spiel of who they think they should go. And Tarver said he should go, but then he said everyone else is a dead man walking or something along those lines. The interesting one was Daniel Bryan saying 0-10, he should probably go home. Striker didn't sell it at all. He said he's humble but confused. Great, Matt Striker, great. Justin Gabriel won the immunity challenge, if you will, at the obstacle course. But the interesting thing at the end was you had Darren Young going down saying he wanted it more, and he's pointing at everyone, and he gets to Wade Barrett at the end, and Wade Barrett sort of palm pushes him off. And I don't know if this is scripted or not, because Darren Young immediately went for a takedown. You could tell he was angry. Slowed the video a couple times, and he was definitely angry. You got that, and the reaction of the officials, I think this might have been a legit snapping moment for Darren Young. That being said, even when he was on the ground, Barret put him in the guard and essentially butterflied his arms up behind his back, so he wasn't doing anything. I mean, he struggled a bit. Striker sold it, saying, you know, everyone's on the breaking point, so on and so forth. The R-Truth match, I'd give a 5. It was R-Truth getting his movesets in and sort of, you know, I'm probably going to forget the match the next 30 minutes because it was just that uneventful. Sort of sad, really. So now we have storyline situations. You have 0-10 for Daniel Bryan, which is kind of disturbing to me. They buried him so far down that what I'm expecting next week, either next week or the week after, probably next week would be better, sooner would be better, is a moment of clarity, an epiphany, or a revelation. If you've ever seen a movie or read a book, there's that point when the hero gets to, well, actually it's this way, he's at the bottom of the barrel and he hits that moment where he has that moment of revelation. He turns the corner, in other words, and then suddenly he starts going up to the climax. And if they follow that sort of model, next week, Daniel Bryan, or the week after, will have his moment of epiphany. Who can deliver that moment to him? I don't know if it could be William Regal. I don't know if it could be Miz making some sort of offhanded statement. Shawn Michaels showing up. There's a lot of different ways it could happen. If you've ever written anything, you've got a lot of flexibility with the storyline right now with Daniel Bryan. They could even eliminate him. And wait with me. If they eliminate Daniel Bryan, and if they brought him back, so the next week on Raw, the guest host says, well, I want to see this guy take on so-and-so, so I'm signing him to a contract or something like that. Then he would be right on Raw, which I could see being cool. They probably want to start him off feuding with Miz, and Miz and Jericho are doing their thing right now. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't think Daniel Bryan will be eliminated. I think Tarver will be, which is a shame because I've really started to like him in the ring and out of the ring. Just as an angry man, sort of a confused angry man if you listen to some of his promos, but an angry man, if you will. If I had to eliminate anyone right now, it would probably be Otunga, simply because his in-ring work ethic does not match with the glossy image that he's outside the ring. It's just not there. And Skip Sheffield and Michael Tarver are busting their butt in the ring, and it shows. It's clear to me that Otunga should go more so than anyone else. But I'm hoping to have another video up later. I know I've said that before, but about my ranking of the rookies as I see it right now. This is Old School Ted 1. See you then.